Not much education, but ambitious. And he looks amazingly like Earl.
What's he do?
He's bellhop in my hotel.
Oh, fine. I always wanted to look like a bellhop.
But, Charles, why do you have to bring him on here?
There's always a place at the plant for a boy like that.
But what are we going to do about him socially?
That's easy. We can all leave town.
Well, you people don't have to take him up socially. He just wants to work and get ahead, that's all.
A young man by the name of Eastman.
Show him in, will you?
Charles, sometimes I think you're in your second childhood.
20 Weird Facts About a Place in the Sun 1951 You Didn't Know. Before we begin, understand this. A Place in the Sun is not a romance. It's a film about desire under pressure, about ambition colliding with morality, about how wanting more can quietly become a crime. This isn't a story about love. It's a story about what people are willing to erase in order to belong. Let's begin. Fact 1. This film was built on a true crime America wanted to forget. A Place in the Sun is inspired by a real murder case. In 1906, Chester Gillette was convicted of killing his pregnant girlfriend, Grace Brown, to pursue a higher social status. The case horrified America, not just because of the crime, but because of the motive. Class, ambition, shame. Hollywood didn't invent this darkness. It inherited it. Fact 2. The studio softened the crime, but sharpened the guilt. Earlier adaptations leaned heavily on brutality. This film did something more dangerous. It made the crime quiet. No shocking violence, no sensational murder, no clear villain. Instead, the film focuses on hesitation, the pause before action, the moment where guilt is born. The result is more disturbing than spectacle, because it feels possible. Fact 3. Montgomery Clift was cast because he looked guilty before acting. Montgomery Clift didn't look like a traditional Hollywood lead. That was the point. He carried vulnerability in his posture, uncertainty in his eyes. Even standing still, he looked conflicted. Director George Stevens wanted a man who seemed haunted before the crime, not a criminal, a human being capable of one. Fact 4. Elizabeth Taylor represents desire, not love. Elizabeth Taylor's character isn't a romantic fantasy. She's an idea. Wealth, access, status, escape. The film frames her not as temptation, but as possibility. Everything the protagonist believes will finally make him visible. She doesn't destroy him. What he wants from her does. Fact 5. The title is a lie on purpose. A Place in the Sun suggests warmth, happiness, arrival, safety. But the film never shows that place. Every moment is shadowed. Every success feels conditional. Every smile carries risk. The title promises fulfillment. The story delivers consequence. Fact 6. The film turns poverty into a psychological trap. George Eastman isn't poor just in money. He's poor in options. Every interaction reminds him where he doesn't belong. The factory floor, the cheap boarding house, the side glances from people who already know their place in the world. The film never lectures about class. It presses it into every frame. Poverty isn't loud. It's humiliating. Fact 7. Shelley Winters' character is the film's moral center. Audiences often misremember her as an obstacle. She isn't. She's the conscience. Her character represents responsibility, consequence, reality. She doesn't manipulate. She hopes. She trusts, and that's what makes her dangerous to George's fantasy. She doesn't threaten his future. She reminds him of his past. Fact 8. The crime is defined by hesitation, not action. One of the film's boldest choices, the murder is never fully shown. No dramatic struggle, no explosive moment, no clear intent. Instead, the camera lingers on hesitation, indecision stretched until it collapses into tragedy. The film asks a terrifying question. If you don't stop something, did you choose it? Fact 9. Love becomes conditional, not transformative. Elizabeth Taylor's presence doesn't free George, it reshapes his fear. Around her, he performs a better version of himself, refined, controlled, acceptable. But the performance requires erasure of history, of responsibility, of another human being. Love doesn't save him, it raises the price of failure. Fact 10. The film makes silence louder than confession. After the crime, the most powerful sound is absence. No screaming guilt, no immediate breakdown, no relief, just quiet. The film understands something brutal. Guilt doesn't always demand confession. Sometimes it just waits. Fact 11. The courtroom isn't about truth, it's about narrative. The trial scenes feel strangely restrained. No fiery speeches, no dramatic breakdowns, no heroic defense. Because the verdict is already forming, not in the courtroom, but in public imagination. The film understands something uncomfortable. Trials aren't about discovering truth, they're about deciding which story feels acceptable. Fact 12. Public opinion replaces moral judgment. As George's case becomes public, his individuality evaporates. He stops being a person. He becomes a headline, a cautionary tale, a symbol of ambition gone wrong. The crowd doesn't want nuance, it wants resolution. And resolution requires someone to carry blame. Fact 13. George shrinks as the film expands. Notice how George changes physically. Earlier scenes show movement, walking, reaching, climbing. Later scenes confine him, tight frames, seated positions, lowered posture. The world grows larger, he grows smaller. The film visually shows what guilt does before punishment ever arrives. Fact 15. Sympathy is offered, then withdrawn. The film allows you to feel empathy. Then it punishes you for it. You understand George, you see his fear, you recognize the pressure. And then the film asks, does understanding absolve consequence? It never answers. It just lets discomfort sit. Fact 16. Justice is presented as inevitable, not moral. By this point, the outcome feels unavoidable. Not because it's right, but because systems require closure. The film doesn't celebrate justice, it executes it quietly, like procedure, not righteousness.
Fact 16. The ending refuses emotional release on purpose. Most Hollywood films offer catharsis. This one doesn't. There's no last-minute revelation, no moral clarity, no emotional payoff. The ending simply stops. Because the film isn't interested in making you feel better, it's interested in making you feel responsible for watching. Fact 17. Love is present, but powerless. The love story doesn't save George, not because it isn't sincere, but because sincerity arrives too late. Love in this film isn't transformative, it's reactive. By the time it speaks honestly, the system is already moved forward. Affection cannot rewind consequence. Fact 18. The film condemns ambition without condemning desire. This is the film's most subtle achievement. It never says wanting more is evil. It says wanting more without accountability is dangerous. Ambition isn't the villain. Disowning responsibility is. That distinction is what makes the film endure. Fact 19. The sun was never meant to be reached. The title promises arrival, but the story denies it. A place in the sun isn't a destination, it's an illusion, something glimpsed briefly, then withdrawn. The film suggests that some dreams are designed to motivate, not to be fulfilled. Fact 20. The final truth. This film is about moral gravity. This is the most important fact of all. A Place in the Sun isn't about murder, it's about weight. The weight of choices not fully examined, silences left unspoken, responsibilities deferred. The film believes something deeply unsettling. You don't need to be cruel to cause destruction. You only need to look away at the wrong moment. Final reflection. A Place in the Sun doesn't accuse, it observes. It doesn't shout morality. It lets consequence unfold, slowly, quietly, without comfort. The sun never rises, because the story was never about light. It was about shadow pretending to be ambition. If this documentary made you uneasy, if it blurred sympathy and judgment, if it left you sitting with silence instead of answers, go now and subscribe for more deep-dive film documentaries that explore the moral pressure beneath classic cinema. Because the most haunting films don't punish characters, they confront viewers.